Susan always dreamed of being a school principal, a dream she poured her heart and soul into. After years of hard work, she finally became the head of a small-town elementary school, a place she was determined to create a nurturing environment where every child, regardless of their background, could thrive and reach their full potential. She knew every student by name, celebrated their successes, and helped them through their struggles. For Susan, this wasn't just a job. It was her life's calling. The school was her sanctuary, and the children were her priority. But her peaceful world was about to be rocked by a new neighbor who moved into the house right next to the school. Her name was Carol, and she quickly earned a reputation. Carol was the kind of person who seemed to find problems where there were none. She complained about everything. The sound of children laughing during recess, the color of the school's fence, even the cheerful drawings taped to the classroom windows. She seemed to have a special dislike for the school and everything it represented. One sunny afternoon, during the school's annual science fair, things took a turn for the worse. The students had spent weeks preparing their projects, and the air was buzzing with excitement. Little Emily, a bright and curious third grader, was proudly explaining her volcano experiment. Suddenly, Carol stormed onto the school grounds, her face a mask of fury. She marched right up to Emily's table, pointed a finger at her and declared, "What a waste of time. A pretty little girl like you should be learning to cook and clean, not playing with this nonsense. Education is useless for girls." The crowd went silent. Emily's eyes welled up with tears, her lower lip trembling. The colorful bubbling volcano on her table suddenly seemed insignificant. Susan rushed over, her heart aching for the little girl, whose confidence had just been shattered. She knelt down beside Emily, wrapped a comforting arm around her, and looked up at Carol with a calm but firm expression. "Ma'am," Suze said, her voice steady despite the anger simmering inside her. "This is a place of learning for all children. Your comments are not welcome here." Carol just scoffed. "I'm the head of the Homeowners Association," she sneered, as if the title gave her absolute authority. "I'll be speaking to the school board about this. This whole education for everyone charade is a waste of taxpayer money." With that, she turned on her heel and stomped away, leaving a trail of hurt and confusion in her wake. Susan knew right then that this was more than just a neighborly dispute. This was an attack on the very principles she held dear. She had to do something, not just for Emily, but for every child in her school. The next day, Susan received an official complaint from the HOA, signed by Carol. It was filled with absurd allegations, accusing the school of being a public nuisance and demanding strict new rules. The list was ridiculous. No outdoor activities before 10 a.m. or after 2 p.m. No loud learning games, and even a demand to have the school's colorful murals painted over with a dull, HOA-approved base. But the most outrageous part was a section reiterating Carol's belief that the curriculum should be different for boys and girls, emphasizing domestic skills for the latter. Susan felt a fire ignite within her. This wasn't just about noise complaints anymore. It was a direct assault on gender equality and the right to education. She called an emergency meeting with her staff and the school's parent-teacher association. As she read Carol's letter aloud, a collective gasp filled the room, followed by murmurs of disbelief and anger. The parents were furious. They had chosen this school for its progressive and inclusive environment, the very things Carol was trying to destroy. They stood united with Susan, ready to fight back. Susan, armed with the unwavering support of her community, decided to take a stand. She knew that simply ignoring Carol wouldn't work. This woman was on a mission, and she needed to be stopped legally. Susan spent her evenings poring over school district bylaws, state education codes, and even laws regarding harassment and public disturbance. She consulted with the school district's legal team, who were initially hesitant, advising her to try and but when Susan explained the full scope of Carol's discriminatory comments and actions, they realized the severity of the situation. This wasn't a simple disagreement. It was a potential civil rights issue. The legal team helped Susan draft a formal response to the HOA. It was a masterpiece of legal precision, systematically dismantling each of Carol's complaints. It cited educational laws protecting the school's right to operate, and more importantly, it highlighted anti-discrimination laws that Carol's demands violated. Susan also began documenting every single interaction with Carol. She installed a new security camera facing the street, and she encouraged parents to report any unsolicited comments Carol made to them or their children. A thick file began to grow, filled with incident reports, photos, and witness statements. Carol, however, was undeterred. When her demands were legally rejected, she escalated her campaign. She started taking pictures of students during recess, claiming she was gathering evidence of the school's unruly nature. She would stand at the edge of the property and yell insults, creating a toxic atmosphere of fear. The final straw came when she blocked the school's service entrance with her car, preventing a delivery of fresh food for the cafeteria. This was not just harassment. It was a direct endangerment to the school's operations and the well-being of the students. That was the moment Susan knew she had to take the ultimate step. With the full backing of the school district and a mountain of evidence, she filed for a restraining order against Carol in court. The complaint detailed not only the public nuisance and harassment but also centered on Carol's discriminatory rhetoric and its harmful impact on the students, particularly the young girls who had been told their dreams were useless. The stage was set for a legal showdown. Susan was no longer just a principal defending her school. She was a champion, fighting for every child's right to dream without limits. The day of the court hearing arrived. The courtroom was packed with parents, teachers, and members of the community, all there to support Susan. Carol sat on the other side with her lawyer, looking smug and confident. She probably thought this was just another HOA dispute she could easily win. But she had severely underestimated Susan and the community she had represented. Susan's lawyer presented the case with powerful clarity. He played security footage of Carol yelling at children. He showed the judge the pictures she had taken, an obvious invasion of privacy. He presented sworn affidavits from a dozen parents, all detailing Carol's unsettling behavior. Then, Susan herself took the stand. She spoke not with anger, but with a passionate conviction that captivated the entire room. She described the science fair incident and the devastating effect it had on little Emily. She explained, "Your Honor, a school is more than just a building of bricks and mortar. It is a promise we make to our children, a promise that we will give them a safe space to learn, to grow, and to become whoever they want to be. When someone tells a little girl that her education is useless, they are not just breaking that promise, they are trying to tear down the very foundation of her future." When it was Carol's turn, her defense quickly crumbled. Under cross-examination, she couldn't justify her actions. Her claims about noise were proven to be exaggerated, and when asked about her comments on girls' education, she doubled down, stating it was just her opinion. The judge was not impressed. In his final ruling, he looked directly at Carol and said, "Mom, your opinions have crossed the line into harassment and have created a hostile environment for children. This is unacceptable." The judge granted a permanent restraining order, prohibiting Carol from coming within 500 feet of the school or contacting any students, parents, or staff. He also fined her for her repeated disturbances. But the most significant victory wasn't just the legal document, it was the message it sent. The court had officially recognized that her discriminatory words were harmful and had no place in their community. As the verdict was read, a wave of relief and quiet celebration washed over Susan's side of the courtroom. Justice had been served. The news spread like wildfire. The local paper ran a story with the headline, "Principal Defends Students' Dreams in Court, Wins." Susan became a local hero, but more importantly, the school returned to being a safe and happy place. The children could play outside without fear. The colorful murals stayed on the walls. And little Emily, she won first place in the district science fair that year. At the award ceremony, she gave a small speech and thanked her principal, Miss Susan, for always believing in us. For Susan, that was the greatest victory of all. She had not only protected her school, she had shown every single student that their dreams were worth fighting for. Thanks so much for watching our story today. If you were inspired by Susan's courage, please give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to ring the bell so you won't miss our next story. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.